to a report by Psychology Today. The average human being is going to spend 90,000 hours on the average at work, and that is being conservative. For those of us who are married, and for those of us who would like to be married, we will spend more than half of our lifetime that we've been single in our significant relationships. So I want to ask you this question. Why would you let ego ruin that experience? Can you hear the loud drums of ego speaking in expressions such as, I am the man of the house, I am the boss here? You mean you are listening to the opinions of a woman? Really? I want to give us this example. Jack was about to relocate to another part of the world and he wanted to sell his car to Phil. But Phil said, before I buy this car, I know it's fantastic, it's barely more than a month you bought it. I've agreed with my wife that before I buy any car, I'm going to send it for inspection. And Jack asked Phil, really? So you mean you always ask for your wife's opinion when you are about what you do about cars? And he just looked at him condescendingly. And then Phil replied, yes, I do. And he asked him, how about you? And he said, no, I don't. I didn't. I'm divorced. And Jack said, in an amiable manner, little wonder. What can you get from that story? Men are not open to the influence of their wives. According to men like Jack, it shows in that story. They don't value their opinions, they don't respect them, they don't see them as equal partners. But let me share with you a research from Dr. John Gottman, who is an emeritus professor of psychology, who has spent 40 years studying thousands of couples on the subject of marital stability and divorce prediction. And he said that husbands or males who do not accept the influence of their wives or do not consider them as valuable or equal partners, within the first 8 years of their marriage are likely to divorce, and the probability is 81%. Over 60% of women in today's workforce, over 60% of women are in today's workforce. The idea of men being breadwinners is gradually on the way, right? Yeah. So, the idea of crossing your legs and thinking that house chores, childcare is way beneath you, you need to reconsider. An interesting thing is, on the other hand, are also the men that would say, what is a woman for? The other room. Now, let me tell you this, and that's the conclusion of that research. Men who accept influence from their wives and value them as equal partners have higher chances of succeeding in marriages. And interestingly, they also tend to make outstanding fathers. It is not just in marriages that ego ruins things, also at work. Let me share with you an example of the company called Polaroid. In 1949, Edwin Land invented the Polaroid instant camera. A year after that, the company was raking in $7 million. 10 years after that, the company was raking in $100 million, 1960. 1976, it was raking in $950 million. The founder of Sony Corporation then met with Edwin Land and said, let's partner and develop a digital camera or an electronic camera. I don't think chemical photography is the way for the future. And guess what this guy replied? Which is what all of us need to be careful about. What management psychologists call hubris, which is the confidence that comes, a false confidence that comes from past successes. And he said, I'm not sure that is the way of the future. I'm still going to stick with chemical photography. And guess what? He continued to explore other parts of chemical photography and even a device called an instant Polaroid video camera. In the long run, $600 million was wasted. and the board of directors of Polar fired Edwin Land. According to Jim Collins, who is the author of the book Good to Great, he said, when you observe companies that are good or just average, one of the things you would observe is that they are characterized by a culture where outsized personal ego is predominant. And some of us must have observed it in our organizations. Some very good examples include people fear admitting failure or making mistakes. Candid discussions about the future of the companies are held outside of meetings. Am I correct? How many of us agree with me at this point in time that we all need an ego detoxification? So how do you go about it? Number one, learn to treat people with mutual respect, regardless of age, sex, or class. 2, encourage open and honest communication. Learn to welcome dissenting opinion. 3, prioritize situations whereby you can compromise in order to have a win-win situation. And I'd like to conclude with the words of George Michael when he said, it takes so much strength to say to my ego, you know what? If I listen to you, you will keep me lonely. So I'm going to have to ignore you. And it's simple. I would like to turn my earlier question from a question to a charge. Do not let ego ruin your life experience. It's going to leave you lonely, both in your work relationships and in your significant interpersonal relationships. Please detoxify your ego. The Toastmaster. Wow.